Hi, Sue. Thank you for allowing me to ask you some questions about your experience on Cura Romana. I believe, lost 10 kilos on your program. Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. So tell me right from the beginning, what did you expect? What did you think about the program before you even began?
It would be fair to say I was terrified. I just just the having two feast days and then just it was such an enormous change. I was terrified as to how I was going to do it because I just never been able to stick to anything like that in my life, really. And I stressed about it quite a lot, and I mucked around and then it took a few days for the little bottles to arrive. So I really was just I realized I was really mucking around because I wasn't willing to open the manual.
Uh-huh.
I acknowledged myself that I wasn't willing to open it. And then I opened it and then I read it. And I thought, shit, how am I going to do this? And that was probably the biggest thing for me was just getting going with it.
Huh? And once you got going with it, how many days was this into your on being on the program before you thought, oh my God, maybe I should just follow it to the letter?
Um, well, I think that for me, the first couple of days were the toughest. I had a huge reaction and just obviously a huge detox, which I've never gone through in my whole life. So that was quite shocking. And then after I got used to the salads and the meat and eating things that I liked, I really enjoyed it. But I very quickly, and it did take me a little while, but very quickly realized that if I followed it to the T, it worked. And I lost basically 350 to 400 grams a day. If I didn't lose that. It was as simple as that. And that's probably the goal for me was that follow it and you do, and don't and you don't.
Huh?
And that's really it.
Uh-huh. Okay. And did you feel any changes in your body taking place once you realized that it was important to follow it to the letter?
Uh, there was lots of things that went on, I'm trying to think back now. It's a little while, but generally I felt good on that. Taking out my carbohydrates and having the meat and the salads. I enjoyed eating more raw foods, and I still eat raw foods, a lot of it. So, yeah, I don't know whether I've answered that fully, Leslie.
Did being on the program affect your sleep at all, one way or another?
Sometimes it did. I would say probably there were some nights I slept better than I've ever done, but it wasn't the most notable thing for me.
What was the most notable thing for you?
Um, just that my body worked better. I worked better. It worked better. Like it just worked better. Everything went in and out and worked better, and I had more energy, and yeah, I just felt better.
Did that surprise you, Sue?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I've done like Weight Watchers programs and just found the whole, you get to a certain point and then you just want cake. Oh, that's the most notable thing, Leslie. That's it. The cravings went away. That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. That's the most notable thing for me. That was fantastic. Sorry.
And about how long into the program did that happen?
Oh, real quick. Real
Uh-huh.
quick. It would be a matter of days.
And before that, did you assume, like a lot of people do, Sue, that you were just weak-willed or something, that you
Oh,
had
hell yeah.
cravings? You did?
Hell yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought I
Okay.
was just useless at this whole weight loss game.
Mm.
Have tried Weight Watchers and decided that that was the way for me, and thought I'll just keep going to the meetings because that was a context that I created for around weight loss was going to the meetings and sticking to it. But I just found I could never stick to it.
Uh-huh.
I had that weak willed thing. Exactly what I experienced, and after the third week, the fourth week, the fifth week, you kind of get quite depressed about it. I guess I found the goal really was that your program worked, and it worked actually quite easily. Actually, really quite easily. And I was scared about all the major changes, but once I got them, like the breakthrough for me really was I now know how to lose weight.
Mhm.
which I've never in my life known before and
Do you,
felt comfortable with.
do you also know that the fact that you had gained weight was actually not your fault? It had to do with the biochemistry
Yep.
that was created out of the kind of foods you were eating?
Yep. And one of the things, the videos you gave me, one of the most cool things I think I really got into my brain was, sugars metabolized like alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
No different. It's just
Mm-hmm.
that alcohol triggers your brain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And sugar doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a light bulb moment for me. It really was.
Mm-hmm.
And just the way the whole starches are metabolized at a cellular level, I found, because I'm a science background, I found that fascinating. And so when you know that, it's actually quite easy to not have them anymore. I don't have any grains anymore. Occasionally I do, but
But do you still have cravings?
Nope.
Isn't it nice to be free of them?
Yep.
Did that change in any way your attitude towards yourself? Did you have more respect for yourself after discovering that it really wasn't your fault, that it was a biochemical thing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was a light bulb moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I describe it.
And I know you're a runner I love runners because I spent most of my life one way or another running. Did you do any running when you were on the program?
Yep, I did.
How was that?
I think that was my biggest fear was where would I get the energy from to run? It was just fine.
Mm-hmm.
It was just fine. On those days, I'd have to say maybe a little bit hungry, but nothing too wildly hungry, because obviously you did burn up some energy, but no, it was fine.
Huh.
And as I got further and further into the program, it became more and more fine.
Yeah, as your body rebalances itself, and it rebalances in the brain, in the diencephalon, it rebalances your hormones, it rebalances your emotional experience of reality and of yourself. It rebalances the way that your body handles food so that it's able to burn the food that you're eating instead of laying it down as fat. And it's such a huge biochemical change. And one of my problems, Sue, is that I cannot explain to people that Cura Romana is not a slimming diet. It is a way of transforming the way your body works, and the weight loss is a side effect of that. It just happens because when the body's functioning properly and all of the brain control systems and the autonomic nervous system as a whole are functioning properly, then you don't get the cravings. Yeah. And all of those habits that we women are awful this way, that we blame ourselves for. If only I had a little bit more willpower, or God, I'm really hopeless. Other women manage things, but I can't. And all that ends. And I am so glad to see that ending in women that are on the program, because I think that kind of suffering is absolutely appalling. And it also turns us into kind of almost like automatons, fearful of food, afraid of food.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah. Did your attitude towards food change as well, Sue?
Yeah, particularly when I got into consolidation, and obviously you're not limited in the amount of portions that you have of the meat and the salad. I found I just actually find that quite a natural way to eat now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been into vegetables, and because I've worked in produce, most of my life, and fruit. And I think we just now move more we just now eat more fish than probably we've had before, eat more meat, eat more chicken, and I eat more raw meat salads than I always have a salad every lunchtime.
Mm-hmm.
Every lunchtime I have a salad now. And yeah, I think I've always hated the inner side of supermarkets. I've always hated that prepackaged
awful,
stuff.
Terrible. I agree.
That's naturally who I am.
Yeah.
But now it's just more ingrained in me that I shop the outside.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny me going to the supermarket because I end up with organic whatever, fruits and vegetables, particularly, and then some sheep's cheese because I like sheep's cheese, and some extra virgin olive oil, and that's it from a supermarket. I mean, it's just amazing to me. We grow a lot of our own vegetables, of course, but it's amazing. Now, consolidation. That is the most difficult part of the program for me to describe to people because it is the most important by far. And I think you were pretty good with consolidation because you by that time had figured out what was going on, as I recall. And you and I worked you were on the Inner Circle program with me, and we worked very closely together. But I was very impressed with the choices you made yourself about foods and the discoveries you made about what works for your body and what does not work for your body.
Yeah, I did find that hard too. I did find consolidation a little bit hard because when you just don't get a reaction really quickly, it's hard to know whether it's okay, that food, or not. And I would say actually now, I finished the program, a few weeks now, and I think I'm still testing.
Well, that's good because what you learned were the techniques that will serve you for the rest of your life, basically.
Yeah, I'm still testing. And I still, from time to time, I will still try a piece of bread. Like once a month I've had a piece of bread, and I look at that, how that goes or not. And I know that.
How does it go? How does it go?
Any breads will make me put on weight.
Yeah. Do they do other things as well as make you put on weight, or just make you put on weight?
All I've noticed is that I just put on weight.
Everyone's unique because with some people, they'll make you put on weight, but they will also make you kind of heavy and low, not feeling happy. Or some people will, foods that don't agree with them, they'll come out in a rash, for instance. So there are all sorts of possibilities. But of course, most people gain weight if they're eating a food that their body, I always say that their body hates. Your body just doesn't want that food at all. And what, of course, most people don't understand, which you got very early on, is we have been told all the wrong things about what makes us gain weight and about what creates degenerative diseases. And I'm talking about... I
find that fascinating.
Isn't it interesting? Absolutely. From coronary heart disease to cancer to Alzheimer's disease to diabetes, you name it, And these things are not normal. People think at the age of 45 that their bodies are supposed to begin to kind of fall apart, and you have aches and pains in your joints, and you have this nonsense. And we have had this information kept from us for the last 60 or 70 years. And all of it now is beginning, thanks to some decent research, because most of the stuff that we were taught was not even good research back in the 60s and late 50s. We're beginning to understand that that everything, all the grains that we eat turn into sugar, because that's the way the body works. And the cravings that we get are because our body has been used to eating things that fill us with sugar. And sugar is deadly. I mean, you likened it to alcohol. It is. But it really is something that the human body doesn't handle at all. And most people spend time looking for sugar substitutes. You know?
I know. I think that's been great too. The stevia's been lovely.
Yeah.
Stevia's been a lovely, lovely alternative. And I just don't think we have sugar these days. I've never been huge on sugar. Never been huge on alcohol, but now I don't actually want a lot of those things either. Just don't want to put the stuff in anymore.
Well, that's very interesting, the alcohol thing, because I find a lot of people, I always say if you're going to drink wine, drink only the best.
Yep.
Yeah. And a lot of people find that, some people, before they begin the program, say things to me like, oh, well, I can't possibly do without my 2 glasses of wine a day, right? Fine, and don't do the program as far as I'm concerned. But then, once they're into the program, they they don't have any desire for it. Or they will only go for the very best wine, and only as a source of pleasure for them, not a compulsive habit. Do you know what I mean?
I do. I think you become more conscious completely to what you're putting in.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads to a certain level of responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I will say the reason I did the inner circle program was because I wanted the structure.
Mm-hmm.
That was really, for me, really important. I wanted the structure of creating it as a context for
Mm-hmm.
my life to change it. And it worked very well.
Fabulous. Fabulous.
So, yeah, and the vitamin C, Leslie, that's the other thing. I touch wood, right? Since I've had the program, I've actually had no flus and anything.
Well,
I
think
still take a big dose of vitamin C a day.
great.
And that's amazing going into winter.
Well, I think that's because of the way you're eating too. So you're
Yeah.
eating in a way that supports your body at the highest level. And when you do that, no, I don't get colds and flu and all of that stuff either. So, okay.
Amazing.
Has it changed your family at all or not? Seeing the changes in you?
Yeah, well, like I'm now a lot more conscious of what I'm putting in George's lunchbox.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
And George is your son.
Yeah,
And
he's my
George
son.
is 6 or 7?
My husband is a little bit more hard to get my head around. But George, I now, I've now looked for alternatives to sandwiches. So I will do a bacon egg pie for him with a little bit of phyllo, so that he's getting the protein. And I noticed that he doesn't, the lunchbox comes home, not as emptied anymore. So I know that he's getting full.
Right.
I also make those little chocolate protein balls.
Oh yeah, they're lovely,
your
aren't
recipe
they?
book.
Yeah.
So that goes in his lunch.
Right.
He eats fruit. He's no problem with fruit. He's like me. We eat a lot of fruit. But probably I'm trying to get more protein into the lunchbox consciously.
Right.
That takes quite a lot of thinking.
Well, if you're having those little chocolate balls, I mean, they have quite a lot of wonderful, good quality fat in them, which will give him energy all day long. And this is another thing we've been told lies about, that, fat is dangerous and it causes cholesterol and heart disease only if it's the wrong kind of fat. But things like extra virgin olive oil, like coconut oil, butter that's made from cows that have been grazed on green grass, not cows that have been stuffed full of grains and GMO modified grains and all that stuff. It's great for kids because if they're athletic at all, I mean, it just, where everybody else is falling by the wayside and trying to reach for some sugary drink to keep them going, kids that have a good quality and plenty of the really best quality oils, they just keep going. They just keep going. Great. Now, what would you say to someone who's thinking about doing Cura Romana? What would you tell them?
I have actually got a very good friend who has actually been struggling with just her weight, and I said to her, she's going to doctors and all sorts of things and getting all sorts of pills, and I just said to her, for God's sake, just go and have a look at the website and try it, because so much, what I would say is you are what you eat, and this probably enables you to really get that into your head. And it's a context for having you have whatever you want. Yeah, I've just loved it.
Great. Fantastic. Hey, listen, thanks so much, Sue. I really enjoyed working with you as well, and hearing all about George in the process and George's schools and your running. And yeah, thank you very much for being willing to share your experience with other people who have not yet experienced Cura Romana.
Oh, thank you, Leslie. It's been a pleasure.